What do you make of all that?
Yo, I ain't gonna hold you. I gotta say trade him. You know what I'm saying? I like Daron Sharp and the chemistry he got with Cam Thomas, but Cam Thomas got chemistry with everybody. And at the end of the day, it's about fit. And Noah Clowney basically took Daron Sharp's spot. Let's just call it what it is. Daron Sharp is great at what he do, but because of the inconsistent minutes and opportunities that he's gotten, it kind of takes away from his potential. And if we can't give him that, then he needs to be somewhere where they could utilize him more. And I don't think that he's done enough to show Jordy Fernandez on the defensive side of the ball that he's going to be part of the roster, because I think that's where Noah Clowney gets the go ahead over Dayron Sharp. When you compare Noah Clowney to Dayron Sharp and you talk about whether we should trade him or not, you say, yeah, we can trade him because we got Noah Clowney. Noah Clowney defense is better than Dayron Sharp, and maybe not a better rebounder. That's fair, but because Noah Clowney is knocking the three ball down such a high clip, such a high percentage, and Dayron Sharp, I don't think he makes the championship roster. And I think it's because Noah Clowney took his spot. It's I don't mean to make it like to a doggy dog world and they against each other, but you know, he's on an expiring contract and Noah Clowney's on a 4-year contract. And the productivity you get from Noah Clowney with that contract, it's just better to keep Noah Clowney. And you know what I'm saying? Just part ways with Dayron Sharp. You know what I mean? Because of the direction that we're going, um, he will probably get more of his potential on a different team. I got nothing bad to say about Dayron Sharp, but I don't see him with the Brooklyn Nets going forward. If you asking me, if I had to give you a straight answer, feel me, that's pretty much what it is.
No, I think you guys are right. I think he may be dealt, and I definitely don't think he's going to be back next year. You're going to bring in at least 4 rookies next year. Plus, you're going to use some of that cap space to sign some guys. So that means this roster is going to look very, very different next year. So a lot of these guys on this team aren't going to be here next year. And like I agree with you that Dayron Sharp's probably not going to be one of the guys who returns. I just think it's a bad decision. I want to get into yesterday's game a little bit more. When it was announced, Dylan, that Giannis and Dame weren't playing, what were your thoughts on that? Like, did you guys say, well, the Nets are definitely going to win tonight? Because I did.
It feels like the league does not want us to do anything. This is like I was talking to you about this before we started, but like it genuinely feels like teams are so afraid of the cap space and pull that we have with stars in the trade market that they do not want us to land a top 3 pick because of how good this draft class is. Like you're looking at teams like New Orleans who probably should be showing more urgency in terms of improving the roster. You have Zion, you have Brandon Ingram. They're not healthy. You have DeJounte, who you just traded for. You have CJ McCollum. You have Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. I mean, they have a fucking squad and they have 5 wins. Like, if that team has 5 wins, we shouldn't even be in the NBA based on the rosters on paper. But somehow they're still bottoming out, right? It's very frustrating with the position that we're in because, like I said, at this point in time, I wish we didn't trade for our pick back because I'm so sick and tired of getting hooked on a specific route and it never working out. Like during the D Will trade days, like the KG Pierce, I was so invested in winning and they could never do it. Katie and Kyrie, I was so invested in winning and they shit the bed. We finally make a direction on a rebuild, finally, which we haven't done in 20 years, and they shit the bed. Like people talk about it's early in the season, they're not even halfway through the season. That's the scary part. We're not even halfway through the season and we're at 12 wins. DraftKings projected us at 18 and a half. And even though we all knew it was low, it should not be this close. I had us at like 21, 23, maybe max. And somehow we're on pace for over 32 right now. So the urgency from not only the front office, but the fan base is beyond frustrating. It's coming to a point where no matter what you want to do as a fan, the absolute opposite happens. It's not even like it's a mixture. So yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating. I'm hoping at some point Marks gets off his ass and stops holding these guys for ransom, because nobody's paying premiums for these role players. You're getting at most a young player and a first for CJ, or a first and a lightly protected first as a filler. He's got to stop expecting the world for these guys. And not to mention, Cam Johnson's a guy that deals with injury history. I watched him get elbowed in the face and landed on his shoulder yesterday. Can we just please get him the fuck off the team before he gets hurt and you lose all the value in the world for him? So it's like Jay just said, it's frustrating. It is beyond disappointing. But yeah, I'll pass it off because I could go on forever.
Let me push this over to Breezy. Let me get your take on this. Yesterday they announced Giannis and Dame both aren't playing. Where are you on the tank? And what was your reaction when you heard that? Were you happy? Like, all right, the Nets are going to win today. Like, they're giving us one. Or were you like, yo, what's going on here? Like, why are Dame and Freak not playing?
Yo, I ain't even know. I knew Dame wasn't playing. I didn't know Giannis wasn't playing. When I realized that they wasn't playing, I said, "Oh, word! They really don't respect our handle. They really think that we just soft out here, and I think they think that we was the old team and we don't have a new identity. I don't think that our identity should start with a player. I do think it should start with a coach. I think our rebuild started with Jordy Fernandez. Everybody think it starts next season because of the draft picks, but it really started with Jordy Fernandez. He is the beginning, the alpha of this rebuild. That's what it is. And I mean, DraftKings said it was going to be 18. They ain't respect our handle. Nobody knew what Jordy Fernandez was going to do. He didn't do nothing. He played a few national games, so I guess they didn't respect that. I respect it. So I do think that he did something, but I don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, he had the respect from the media, but now, the tables are turning, you know what I'm saying? And he's winning in the most challenges. He's winning in the most challenges won. He's doing stuff that I never seen a Brooklyn Nets head coach ever do in my net fan life. You feel what I'm saying? So the rebuild starts with him. And I just want fans to recognize that it don't start with the draft next season. It starts with him. And I think he's gonna have Cam Thomas, Clowney, and Zaire Williamson go with him into next season. Everybody else, I don't know, but I like that the rebuild starts with the coach and not just the player.
I wanna bring this up too.
You mind if I come in for a second to ask you a question? I thought I was unmuted. I was asking Breeze for like 2 minutes, but I guess I was on mute. My question to you is, who's the greatest coach of all time, Breezy, that you would say in the NBA?
Breezy, you're muted.
Oh, I said Phil Jackson comes to mind automatically, but
okay,
that's the first coach that's coming to mind.
There's a certain guy in San Antonio that I would say is probably
I
the
was
greatest.
gonna say Phil Jackson or Pop. I'd say
Coach
Pop. Either one.
Yeah, Pop is nice.
I personally would have said Pop. At least you put Pop in your top 3, though, right?
Yeah, he's the number one, debatable, that for sure.
Okay, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, correct? We can all agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. How did he do as the greatest coach, potentially of all time, after Kawhi Leonard was traded? What happened to San Antonio for 6 years?
You mean the rebuild?
Yeah. They were awful, right?
Yeah, that was the first time in like 20 years they were awful.
My point being, look what happens when you don't have talent on your roster. You can be as great as a coach as you want, but at the end of the day, in the NBA specifically, coaching isn't what puts you over the edge, right? Boston has dealt with Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, and Joe Mazzulla. 2 of those coaches went to a finals, right? One of them had gone to over 3 Western Conference finals. They all had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and one of either Kyrie or Porzingis, Drew Holiday, etc. So the point is that you need talent more than you need a coach. And the way to get talent currently for us is being held as a draft selection. And the more that this team fucks up, the further down and the further more that this rebuild is going to take. Because it's either going to come down to Sean Marks saying, okay, we have to do this again. Maybe I'll show a little more urgency, build a horrible roster, which he'll never do. Or he's going to go all in because he saw a mediocre season gone well, and he's going to waste all of our assets for second-round losses again. If Katie and Kyrie, who at the time they were here, were both top 20 players in basketball, right? What makes you think picking up a guy like De'Aaron Fox or somebody else down the line who's a top 20 player next to Cam Thomas, who is not a top 25 player, what makes you think that that roster there is going to make it further than two of the greatest players of all time? That's my problem. Until you can get to a point where you can near duplicate that, if not make it better, there's no way that this team wins. And the only way that it wins is by building its own talent. And you do that with the draft pick that you paid a premium price for this offseason. But somehow, some way, we're fucking that up. So that's where I'm trying to get. Coaching is
Yeah,
not
but
in basketball.
no, I'm with you, but I'm just looking at recent history, and I look at all of the draft picks that won championship, and none of these guys are top three. I mean, besides the Boston Celtics, I mean, you got the 3-and-3 in the Brown and Tatum, but outside of that, you got Giannis. Outside of that, you got Curry. These guys are not top 10. So what I'm saying as a Net fan, I just don't panic if it's not top 10, especially if they saying they got Jaeger outside of the top 10. They got real players outside of the top 10, and I mentioned Jaeger because I like Jaeger. This guy is a facilitator. He's doing a lot of things. He could get to the basket. He's like 6'8". He's somebody next to Cam Thomas. We are real dangerous. Again, Dennis Schroeder gave a template on what Jordy Fernandez wants from his point guard. Could we get that from Dylan? Could we get that from Jaeger? Could we get that from these Jeremiah Fairs? Can we get that from all of these different point guards that's in the draft? There's more than one point guard in the draft. The Brooklyn Nets could do a lot of things, and I'm saying a lot of things because it don't have to be in the top 3 for us to do a lot of things. That's what I'm saying, and to be honest with you, to keep it all the way real with the chat, with the panel, I'm a novice to college basketball, but I keep hearing that it's a generational draft, and my thing is, don't call it a generational draft if it's only 3 players that's good in this draft out of 30.
I think
generational draft
yeah,
means that the top 3 or the top 5 is so loaded with generational talent. That doesn't mean the entire class is generational. LeBron's class in 03 was called generational because it had 4 guys in it who ended up being Hall of Famers, 3 of which ended up becoming champions. And that was the level of hype that they had coming out of high school and college. LeBron, of course, not college, but the rest coming out of college. So the point is that Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, those 3 guys have ceilings of generational Hall of Fame talent. That's why it's called a generational draft class. The year that we saw Wemby was the only guy in that class that you could really consider to be generational, right? Zion Williamson. John Morant wasn't even considered generational. Zion was the only one in that class that was considered.
And they got it.
Hang on, let me. I guess
Ja
right,
was great.
Ja was going to be an all-star caliber player when he came into the league, right?
Ja was great, but the problem is he went to a no-name school and he was too small in weight. Nobody thought that he was going to be a generational talent, an all-star maybe based on what he did at Murray State. But when you're talking about
a reason why you're free to go to whatever school you want, but is there a reason why Ja went to Murray State? Was it he
wasn't I believe he was a 2-star recruit, if not 3. He wasn't.
So he just wasn't recruited.
Yeah, in high school he was not a highly touted recruit. But that's why I'm saying so when you're talking about generational draft classes, that starts in high school. That doesn't start in college, right? Cooper Flagg has had the hype since he was a sophomore. Michael Porter Jr., when he played at Nathan Hill, was a sophomore in high school when he started being considered a generational talent, right? There's guys out there like Victor Wembanyama. He's been on the radar of the NBA for 4 years prior to his first 2 years in the league. So like his freshman or sophomore year considerably is when he started getting recognized. The generational title starts in high school. It doesn't start based on what you're doing in college. So the reason it's considered generational is simply because there are 3 players that have Hall of Fame ceilings rather than 1. You know what I mean? So it's not that it's not that there's a bunch of players in the late lottery that have Hall of Fame potential. It's just they're better than last year's class, right? Last year's class is horrible.
Well, yeah, everything was better than last year's draft. I mean, it really was bad. But I want to address something that's been coming up that I just disagree with, right? This is Brooklyn. It's New York City. You're going to have people who want to come here because they want to be stars and they want to win in New York. If you're Utah or you're OKC, you have to rebuild via the draft, right? Because you're not going to land big time free agents because they don't want to go there. Brooklyn's different. Like Brooklyn's like LA, the Lakers, they don't, they sign and trade for superstars. To me, you're acting like a budget organization when you're saying we're going to tank because the only way we can win is through the draft. I don't agree with that. I think the Nets, it's the NBA. Superstars ask out all the time. Anthony Edwards, for all we know, could ask out if Minnesota doesn't improve. And we would have the capital to land a guy like that. I'm not saying he is. I'm just using it as a hypothetical. What I'm saying is, if I'm the Nets, all I'm trying to do is put together something decent, like they did with D'Angelo Russell and LeVert and those guys. Just put together something decent and then add the superstar. I want to hear both of you guys. I want to hear Breezy and Dylan respond to that. My idea of rebuilding would be to do it, put together a 500 team and then add the superstar.
Yeah.
Dylan, Breezy, you guys respond to that. I got to go take a leak. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right. I feel like the free agency give us a lot of power because we got a lot of money. Even free agents that we don't want to come to this team going to want to come to this team. You're going to hear rumors about them coming to this team, even though you're going to have vloggers and content creators like me jump out and say, nah, we don't need them on this team. They're going to always want to come to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is lit. And far as market wise, there's a lot of things that you can entertain on the business side of things, and just the lifestyle you could have it being a city. It's a metropolitan city and it's on the coast. It's just the place to be. On top of that, the money makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Let's not forget that part. On that note, I also feel like Jordy Fernandez is putting his foot down, saying that you could trust me with your NBA career. If you're serious about winning, you could want to come here. Free agents also see that. I put a lot of emphasis saying that draft picks see that, but the truth is that the free agents have more power when it comes to where they want to go, more than a draft pick can. So they seen Jordy Fernandez like, yo, I want him to be my coach. If he was my coach, I would have a good NBA career. De'Aaron Fox might feel like that because he was part of the roster. You know what I'm saying? There's other point guards or other players that might feel like that. I don't know all of the other ones. I'm just using Fox as an example because his contract is coming up, and you know what I'm saying? Look like it's some disparities. Now what I mean? They just lost to the Detroit Pistons. DeMar DeRozan's promised that they was gonna make it to the conference finals. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? So Fox, if they don't make it to the conference finals, my opinion is that Fox is out. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? So I think Brooklyn Nets is on his radar. I don't know how much motion that got, but I believe that. You know what I'm saying? So I think while Gary was going, in a nutshell, what I was trying to say was, because of Jordy Fernandez coaches and free agents having the option to where they want to go, Jordy Fernandez is going to influence that idea. They're going to respect his handle. Like, yo, I want to go there because I think Jordy Fernandez is a winner. And I like his style of coaching. So, you know what I'm saying? I want to go to the Brooklyn Nets because of Jordy Fernandez. So yeah, that's
what DJ said real quick. I want to respond to DJ's comment, and I want to hear from Dylan too, right? DJ said, Gary, you can't say that just because it's New York doesn't mean shit no more. Not unless your roster is very good. Our roster isn't good at all. I agree with you. Our roster is not very good right now, right? What I'm saying is use this draft to make it better. Go sign some decent players in free agency, right? And just get to what Kenny Atkinson had with D'Lo and LeVert and Dinwiddie. Just have a team that someone's going to look at and say, they're a 500 team now. They're a superstar away from competing, and then add that superstar. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like everyone's going to line up just because it's New York. If you have a chance to win in New York, right, the opportunities for the rest of your life are through the roof, right? There's so many opportunities here, post-basketball, in the media, average, whatever. So just get to the point where someone, De'Aaron Fox, would look at this team and saying, that's a decent team. If you put me on that team, we can really compete. Get to that position. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm not saying everyone's going to line up to come to this team when it's trash. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the goal is to get decent via the draft and then add the superstar. Dylan, I'll let you respond to that.
Yeah, I'm at the same point. I think the whole buying stars thing, it doesn't work. Even De'Aaron Fox, I was so big on wanting to get him potentially this offseason after we land a top pick. But look at his attitude. Look at the way that he's represented by Rich Paul. It's not a player that you want here. He's not a winner. He is a second option impactful winner. And again, it's so hard to find these number ones in this league that could lead your team in terms of leadership and in terms of play style. You can't find that unless if you draft it. You can go out of your way to try and give King's ransoms for Giannis's and KD's and whatever it may be, but you have such a small percent chance of signing that player, then you now have to move into the second scenario, which is trading your future away for that player. Why do all of this repetitively on repeat every 5 years with this franchise rather than just going for the top 3 pick? It's right there in front of you. I can't emphasize it enough. It's just so simple, some of the solutions that you could bring. At this point as a Nets fan, right? I've been a fan for my entire life. I just turned 23 2 weeks ago. I'm at the point where I would rather be so set in stone on tanking, landing a top 3 pick, and that player being a bust. I would rather that at this point because we've never experienced it rather than wasting an opportunity at that top 3 pick, missing out on a generational talent, and then going all in just to lose in the second round again. I would prefer that. I would prefer the player that I want being a bust at this point in time because I am so confident that if you land a top 3 pick, you're not drafting a bust. With the way that this player development, staff is, with the way that we've seen players develop here, with how highly touted these prospects are, with the backgrounds of 2 players being at Rutgers, there's something about this class that just says that there's no wrong in drafting a top 3 pick.
I agree with you, but let me ask you this. That generational draft, the Bron draft you talked about. Bron was 1. You had Carmelo at 3. You had Bosh and Wade in that draft. Who was the number 2 pick in that draft? Number 2.
I can't remember
Milicic.
off the top of my head.
Milicic, he was
You
trash.
know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they'll draft a bust either, but that possibility.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would prefer that at this point. I would rather be wrong and draft a bust than watch this team go on its 4th cycle of fucked up rebuilds, gone accelerated retools to second round losses and repeat. It's like, have you ever seen those memes of Baker Mayfield when he was playing in Cleveland, where it was, have a great game, talk your talk in the media, have a stinker, and then blame it on somebody else. Like, it was like a rotate. It's like the Ben Simmons cycle, injured for a long period of time, come back, play solid, say that you're fully healthy, get re-injured again, repeat. That's what the Nets do as a franchise in terms of how they build a roster. It's waste all your assets for stars, don't make a finals, lose those stars to bad management or poor behavior, go for a rebuild, have one season where you play solid, and rather than staying the course, you accelerate the rebuild and you repeat the cycle by getting stars. It's the same thing with the Nets. I need to see something new.
I love it because I'm almost 20 years older than you, Dylan. I'm 41. I've been a Net fan since Kenny Anderson and Drazen Petrovic. 91, 92 was like the first year I have a lot of memories of being a Nets fan. Mm-hmm. Kenny Anderson, Derek Coleman, Drazen Petrovic, that team. I've got 02 and 03 were like the best years ever. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was 1 and 2.
Yeah. I'm not a patience, man. I want to see this team win. Like I've seen them go to 2 NBA finals, and I've only seen them go to 2 Eastern Conference finals both those years. I'm tired. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of rebuilding. I've been a fan for 30 years of this team, 30 years plus.
But when was the last time that you saw an actual reach? But when did you? Well, 2 things. First of all, as a team that's never won a championship, as a fan, and I'm gonna say it whether people like it or not, we have no right as fans to say that we're tired of waiting when this team hasn't done dick for us. They have not done shit for us. If we were, I would understand this if we were like Celtics or Lakers fans where they're used to winning. So going 4 or 5 years without one is like the worst thing since, bird flu or some shit. Like it's just we have not seen shit. We have no expectation of seeing shit in terms of what we've seen in the past, right? You saw 2 finals, so you could say, yeah, it's been a little bit. But aren't you a Jets fan as well?
Yeah, it's not good, bro. It's not good. It's not good.
But that's what I'm saying. Like how many times can you see these recycled scenarios of fuck ups? How many times can we see that before it gets old and we want to try something new? Right? What's 2 years to us without making the playoffs compared to the next 5 years of second round losses to then have none of our picks while we try and rebuild again after it fails? Because it's going to fail. We're not beating Boston in the next 3 years, no matter who they have. We're not beating Cleveland in the next 2 years because they have Donovan there until then, and everybody else is there. You're not beating Orlando.
Donovan could demand a trade tomorrow. Like, it's the NBA. Like, things change quickly.
They finally have built the roster around him properly.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I agree.
They have the coach for it. The worst case scenario is he opts out in 2 years. That's it. But point being is there is still 2-3 years where we have the 0.00000 infinity chance of making it out of the second round, no matter who you add. You're not beating Orlando. They're a star away. You're not beating Cleveland. You're not beating Boston. You're not beating the Knicks, right? What's the point? Why as a fan base are we competing to go to the second round of the playoffs? What does that do for us? You get the opportunity to watch a maximum of 14 extra games a season potentially. What does that do for you? It does nothing.
You're losing in the second round every year. I mean, it gives you more basketball to watch. It gives you. This is why we're fans, because we want to see our teams win. Like, we don't want to see our teams lose. We want to see them win. If they lose in the second round of the playoffs, like, that's a banner season for the Nets. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be
That's what I'm saying. The standard has to change as well, right? So I'm a Steelers.
You're right.
I'm a Steelers fan, right? In the 70s,
yeah.
In the 70s, dynasty. During the Cordell Patterson and Buddy Brewster days, horrible, right? You can't build winning without the right standard. Jordy has the right standard. You need the talent around him. The only way to get that talent successfully, financially, is to draft it. You go all out to waste all these assets, and then, like say you do trade for a De'Aaron Fox or a Giannis this offseason. What's the next move? You're signing Brandon Ingram or Jimmy Butler? That duo right there is not better than KD or Kyrie.
Hold on for the record. I'm not saying any of this. And again, I don't know the next time we will have the opportunity to have a top 3 draft pick. So again, I favored this before they even had our draft picks. And to be honest with you, I favored this when we had our draft picks before the Harden trade. I was saying all of this, like, yo, look where we're going to be, and this and that. These conversations that we're having now, I was having then. Because
we were that close to being able to actually rebuild a roster, because our picks were starting to reload back up after the post. But Pete, I said all that to say this. When you look at all of those picks that we had before the Harden trade, and you see how we could have built a roster based on if we kept those picks, yeah, bro, we would have been tough. KD, Kyrie, and those picks. That's a championship roster, bro. No matter how you look at that, bro. We could have built a championship roster with that. Out much better, yes. So again, I hate talking about this era because it makes me want to put a bullet in the brain, but it's just
I'm not talking about the era per se. I'm talking about the fact that those specific draft picks that we would have had without the Harden trade, with KD, Kyrie in the core 4, which is Karras, Harris, Dinwiddie, and Jarrett Allen. So I'm saying that to say that would have been a championship roster had we kept those picks. Now keep our same picks.
Yeah, but the picks would have been late 20s because of KD and Kyrie. Sorry to cut you off, but I have to, because it's not like they would have been lottery picks. It's not like you would have had chances at Paolo or Zion or Ja or Wemby. You wouldn't have any of those chances. You'd be drafting.
No, but you could still trade up. You could still negotiate. You feel what I'm saying? Like, they don't necessarily.
Yeah, you'd have to use Jarrett Allen, Karras, or any of those guys to trade up. So either way, they would have been gone. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
When you bring in 2 Hall of Famers, you go all in. You don't just sit and waste their time. You know what I mean?
I think that
Yeah,
you already
but-
had a championship. You had a playoff roster. Then added 2 generational superstars. Like, I think the Harden trade was awful. I would have never traded for Harden. It made no sense to me then. It made no sense to me later. But like, they had a good roster. They had all the role players you want. They had all the glue guys, all the guys that are going to do the dirty work that you would want. I
mean,
never
Kirk was
understood
getting
trading
mixed
for
the first
Harden.
year that Kyrie was here. It wasn't championship ready.
I
Yes,
disagree 100%.
should have those 6 or 7 first that we sent out have been used to build more depth? Yes. But at the time, you're talking about a 30-year-old James Harden who just came off of an MVP season, averaging 35, 8, and like 11. You make that trade 9 times out of 10.
I would never.
Right.
I'm out of 10. I'm that 1 out of 10. I'm that 1 out of 10.
I'm not one. Let me explain why I don't
may
make
be
the
the 1
trade.
out of 10. But the point is that you can't blame the organization on moving in on an MVP. You have to blame the organization for not moving off of Kyrie Irving during COVID to keep the 2 MVPs that you have happy.
That's
the
great.
nah,
And that's the point.
but nah,
nah.
If you
but
lose
nah.
Kyrie at that
I'm not
time,
keeping them. I'm not keeping them happy. They took away Jared Allen minutes, and DeAndre Jordan was a wash. He was a wash.
Kyrie got
That's-
for a while.
But no, I'm just saying,
Problem
you gave KD had GM power. You're not supposed to be able to bring DeAndre or Jordan in and give him minutes over Jared Allen. You're not supposed to be able to do that, and he's not supposed to be able to get the
DeAndre
coach up
Jordan
out of there neither.
was a proven
hang on,
starting big
hang
at
on.
the time.
Let
Jared Allen was
me
a
defend what Dylan's saying. Breezy, and I got another question I want to ask you about this. If they would have went when they ruled that Kyrie couldn't play the home game or whatever it was, right? If Sean Mark would have said to him, "We love you, we want you to be in net, but what they're doing to you is messed up. We're going to trade you to somewhere you can play every day," which was every other team in the league. They would have gotten a haul back for him. They would have had Harden at the point. They would have had KD as their primary scorer, and they would have gotten a haul for Kyrie Irving.
Like imagine the Kyrie offer we got now, but you attach 2 more first-round picks to it. So you're talking about Dinwiddie, DFS in his prime, and 2 or 3 first-round picks to then maneuver and continue to build around Harden and KD. That was still a roster that could have won 1,000%.
Breezy, you want to respond to that? I want your take on that.
Yeah, I think Harden was just, giving Houston the Rockets a hard time. He showed that he disgruntled. He showed he ain't respect the front office. I think it was overhyped. And he didn't replace Karis LeVert defense or Jared Allen offense. I mean, defense in the paint. He didn't replace.
Sample size, we were the number 1 offense in basketball, historically at the top 3 offense of all time. It went 13.
Defense win championships, but they can't stop Giannis. Harden can't stop Giannis. He can't stop Giannis.
Harden didn't play for 3 of those games. You can't.
But that's the point.
Harden's a 6'5" shooting guard. No 6'5" shooting guard is no. Karis LeVert is guarding Giannis.
I would have never did it. And again, somebody like Jordi Fernandez to play 10 players shows that 1 player is greater than 10 players. Even with the scoring power of Cam Thomas, make him quote unquote fall in line. You're part of the offense. We're not just running the offense through you just because you're a super duper scorer. So somebody like Jordi Fernandez wouldn't even emphasize offense, and I'm just saying style of coaching. So
I don't think people understand how good Harden was for us in that playoff run with Milwaukee. Like not that series specifically, because of course he tore his hamstring. But when you look at the numbers that he was putting up, he was the NBA leader in assists. So we can't call him a selfish shot chucker. He was averaging 26 a game. He was top 6 in MVP voting. That was next to KD as well. That team was so beyond perfect. Harden was what we needed from Kyrie, right? The number 2 scorer, but the number 1 facilitator to help KD. Harden and KD, with a great roster around them after moving Kyrie, would have been a better scenario than holding on to Kyrie and losing Harden. I will stand by that to this day. Harden, all time, is a better player than Kyrie Irving. KD being the best out of the 3. You put an opportunity where you have Harden and KD, you move Kyrie for DFS or whoever's out there. You grab 2 role players, though, that fit next to Harden and KD, plus additional picks to be able to improve the roster that offseason. You would probably still be able to compete with Milwaukee. And the year after was when Miami made the finals as the 8th seed. We easily could have made it to the finals that year. So
I want to get to this.
Turnover city, man.
I want to ask this next question.
Don't forget the turnovers.
But don't forget the point differential. I mean, we were blowing teams out. we had a month stretch where I believe we had 5 games where we scored over 140 points.
And again, like I
want to
go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
Next question. I want everyone's take. I want to start with you, Breezy. I want to go to Dylan because he's going to cook on it. To me, this team's not getting a top 3 pick. I don't know why it's winning games. I think it's the worst roster in the NBA along with Washington. It's a bottom 3 team for sure. But it's kind of like my Mets. They just find ways to win games. Keon Johnson's hitting clutch shots. Like when you got Keon Johnson hitting clutch shots and whatnot, and Clowney banks in a 3 with no time on the shot clock, and you just win another game. To me, honestly, there's a better chance this team's going to make a play-in than have a bottom 3 record in the NBA at this point. Like I really believe that.
I can rebuttal that just because Philly's coming back. Philly's coming back. Detroit's finally looking like the team that I expected them to be. Those are the 9-10 seeds as of right now. Outside of us,
Detroit get cooked by Sacramento yesterday?
I don't think they got cooked.
I was watching the game.
I remember at halftime they were. I remember at halftime Detroit was up. What was the final score? I didn't even look.
I'll look it up. I was watching like through 3 quarters.
Detroit won by 1. Detroit won by 1.
Oh, they came back to win the fourth quarter. They had a huge fourth quarter because they were down like 16 or 18 or something like that.
Yeah, I remember Jaden Ivey hit a step back 3, got fouled by De'Aaron Fox, and it went in. So it was a 4-point play, and they won off of that.
Yeah, they outscored them 37-22 in the fourth quarter, 1 by 1. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I stopped watching.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like right now, I'm looking at the standings. I still believe if Charlotte was smart, they don't sell. They try and go grab somebody because that roster is too good to be 7-23. You have Indiana, Atlanta, Detroit in the play-in right now. I'm expecting Philly to jump Chicago after Chicago sells. That's the play-in. We're not better than Atlanta. We're not better than Indiana. We're not better than Detroit. We're not better than Philly. There should be a 0.0000 again infinity 0 chance of us making the play-in, which puts us at best as the 11th seed. Again, that's top 10 pick.
Here, we're not better than any of those teams. I agree with you, but we keep winning games, so I don't know what to say, right? Like, let me go to Breezy after this, but I agree with you. Those teams are far better than us. Detroit's far better than us. Charlotte is far better than us. Toronto is far better than us if they're healthy. All those teams are much better than us. The only team that's not is Washington, but we keep winning games, so I don't know what to say anymore. Breezy,
like as of right now, by the end of the season, New Orleans, Utah, Washington, and one of Charlotte or Toronto will be worse than us. We should be a top 16 now.
But I can tell you right now, Gary, for a simple fact that Detroit got like 3 top 5 draft picks 3 years in a row. The way they got their rebuild is way different. If they ain't good with all of those draft picks, and they weren't good with all of those draft picks until they got a head coach. At the end of the day, Jordi Fernandez changed the identity of this team. It's more than a player. And respectfully, it should be that way. The head coach should have the biggest voice in the locker room. He's the medium between the players and the front office. He say who should get paid, who stays, who's winning basketball, and etc. So I like the rebuild starting before, you know what I'm saying, a player. And yeah, the draft is important, but regardless of whatever draft pick we get, the way he got players playing, they're going to come here and they're going to respect what's going on, and it's going to go ahead. Hold on.
Let me bring BK in. BK, you there?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. What are your thoughts? I think the Nets roster is as bad as you guys do, but they keep winning games. So, I mean, do you think
Ben Simmons was really the factor in that whole game. He was a plus 16 yesterday. When he was off the floor, the offense looked really, really bad. And then when he's on the floor, the offense started to pick up. I know he only had 8 points, but it's like he's like a poor man's Jokic, right? You double team him, he always makes the right pass. And then guys, when they know they're going to get the basketball, they're going to play harder. You know, Ben Simmons was like really kind of he had the best plus minus in the whole game yesterday. Plus 16. You know, when he was off the floor, if you just watch, I watched the whole game. When he was off the floor, the offense looked really, really bad, man. They were struggling just to score, man. But Ben Simmons, like his size, 6'11", 240. He just, you know, and you got to pay attention to his scouting report too. I mean, they know what he can do. They know he can get downhill. He's a matchup problem for like smaller point guards, and he's just going to command double teams if he's attacking like that, like the way he was. If he was playing aggressive yesterday, even though he only scored 8 points, he was really aggressive in terms of attacking the basket. And just the team is just better when he does it.
You guys want to respond to? You guys want to respond to BK, Dylan, Breezy? You guys want to respond to him? The Ben
Yeah,
Simmons
the solution's simple. Trade Cam Thomas or trade Cam Johnson. Sorry,
What?
don't
Yeah,
shit
no,
on
no,
me.
Cam
Don't shit on me.
Johnson, yeah.
Trade Cam Johnson. Trade
Yeah, don't get Breezy
DFS.
started.
Buy out Ben Simmons. Do it.
I
get
just
it
did.
over
I did a show last night on that, Dylan. They're not buying out Ben Simmons. I was on there for almost 4 hours last night trying to explain to people, man. Like a player like him and Wemby, these generational type players. Like I'm not saying he's a world like the greatest player ever, but I'm talking about a guy that's like 6'10", 6'11", that can handle the basketball and could pass. I mean, they don't just grow on trees. You're not just going to give them away like that. Out of my 30-something years of watching the NBA, you're not going to just give Ben Simmons away like that. They're going to try, just like Kawhi Leonard. They're going to fight as hard as they can to keep those guys.
Let me respond to this.
There's a 6'6" guy in Chicago that does the same things as Ben Simmons, but can also shoot. So I disagree with that. Lonzo.
I mean, Zach. I know you're talking about. What's his name?
You're talking about Lonzo Ball, right? Yes, you're talking about Ball.
Yes,
but he can barely walk. His knees bothering him.
In the games that he's played, he's looked great. And at the end of the day, again, too, the whole point of the season is to lose. So who cares? You know what I mean?
All right.
Lonzo is so. Here's do you mind if I talk about Lonzo a little bit because I know it wasn't a topic.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Lonzo fan, so I'll let you cook on Lonzo Ball.
There's so many people coming at me for continuously saying that I want Lonzo Ball here. Everybody says he's just another Ben Simmons. There's a big difference between him and Ben Simmons. He can space the floor while providing you with the same level of defense and playmaking as Ben Simmons does, and it's a fact. It's a fact. His playmaking is probably better than Ben Simmons's. Ben's defense is probably better.
It's on par.
He played like 5 games in 2 seasons, bro. Come on, bro. Come on.
He's been helping.
Lonzo Ball played like accumulatively 20 games in 2 seasons, bro.
Let me give the shout out to my boy Leaf Diggy.
So far,
guys, hang on. Let me read the super chat from Leaf. I appreciate you, Leaf. We still ain't getting a top 5 pick because there are 6 teams that still don't have 10 wins yet. This is disgraceful. This roster will never help the Nets win 50 games ever. I kind of agree with them. The roster's atrocious, but somehow it's not a bottom-dwelling team, and that's my point. I agree with Leaf here. It's like, yes, should they be a bottom 5 team? They should be a bottom 2 team.
It's not a bad. If you have a healthy Ben Simmons and the way Cam Thomas can actually score the basketball and the way Cam Johnson is playing right now, Cam Johnson's playing like an all-star. It's not a bad team.
Okay, besides Washington, name a worse roster in the East. We'll start with the East. Just name a worse roster in the East besides Washington.
There's not one.
You got Washington. Charlotte. if Ben Simmons is actually healthy, like Philly Ben, he's better than LaMelo Ball.
No,
if he's healthy.
No, stop.
If he's healthy, yes, he is.
No,
LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball.
I want you to make this point. I like devil's advocate, so go ahead, make the point.
LaMelo's averaging like 35 and 8.
I don't love the way he's playing. He's taking 23 pointers a game at a 35% clip. I don't love the way Ball's playing.
Straight nasty work.
Brandon Miller is probably the second best player on our team.
Oh man.
Who's putting up better numbers? Cam Johnson or Brandon Miller? Who's actually contributing to winning?
They're practically equal, but you're also talking about a second option
practically
player
equal
playing next to LaMelo, who's practically like Cam Thomas in terms of shot selection and shooting, right? We can kind of agree on that. Both high caliber scorers who shoot volume. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
LaMelo's been majority healthy this season. Cam Thomas has not. The stats don't align between Cam Johnson and Brandon Miller based on that. Cam Johnson's playing on a dog shit team with no Cam Thomas as your number 1 scorer.
I know, but it's not. When you think about it, it's not really a bad team. If Ben is healthy, Cam Johnson the way he's playing, and Cam Thomas is actually healthy, you got really 3 good players right there, man. Like Ben Simmons is a former All-Star, right?
As the Rock meme says, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have seen.
Man, that guy's emotional, man.
It's not emotion.
I know it's not better than. Hold on, it's not better than Boston's roster. It's not better than Boston's roster or Cleveland's roster, right? Or the Knicks roster. But like in terms of I would say it's a borderline 6 seed. You know, if everybody's actually healthy.
This current
Ben
roster,
I don't
Ben,
understand that at all.
This
Keon
current
Johnson
roster- Bro.
starts on this team. Have you seen Keon Johnson? He starts.
Yo,
Have
can
you
I
seen
can I
Keon Johnson?
wait, hold
Can
on,
I-
just real
can I
quickly.
say something? Can I
Just
say
to
something?
answer
Because
that
y'all I
real
hear y'all
quick, though.
trashing the
Brandon
roster,
Miller
but
is averaging
a healthy
21
Brooklyn Nets is better than a lot of these teams, bro.
4 assists.
Hang
So
on,
he
let-
is
let-
having
let-
a better season.
Let Breezy go. Okay, Breezy, I love you. Give me the roster that the Brooklyn Nets are better than. I want besides Washington.
Bro, I'm saying a healthy Brooklyn Nets, you got Ben Simmons at point, Cam Thomas at 2, you got Cam Johnson at 3, you got Syed Williams coming off the bench for Cam Johnson, and the way he was running defense, bro, you got again a healthy Brooklyn Nets roster. You got Noah County at the 4 next to Cam Johnson. You know what kind of spacing that bring if you really watch basketball. When we had Schroeder, you see what kind of trouble we was bringing. We had to trade Schroeder the same way y'all saying we had to trade Schroeder. Is the same reason why y'all saying we got to trade Cam Johnson, because we too good, and that's partly because of the coach. A lot of fans don't want to recognize that the rebuild start with the head coach, but it do. The rebuild start with the head coach, not these players, bro. It's just
when
a fact.
Hold on.
Did
When Ben
Cam
is
Johnson
playing
beat
like
Giannis
Ben,
and Dame
Hold
last
on,
night?
look how long it took Detroit to be good, and that's because of the new coach. It's not
No,
just
it's
because you
because
put
Kate
a bunch of
Cunningham.
talent together. That's not going to get them to win.
They need
It's
talent
because
too,
Cam,
Breezy. They
it's because
need
Kate
talent too.
Cunningham is
No,
hurt.
you
They
need
added
talent too,
veterans on there.
but look how many draft picks in a row they had good talent per quote based on their draft picks.
Jaden
Whether it be a
Ivey
Jay,
solid. Cade
they had
Cunningham's healthy and an all-star. Jalen Duren's been a solid starting center. Like they have a solid roster.
but my point is how many times they got draft picks in the top 10 in like the last 5 years. When they building
Okay,
Cade Cunningham, Ivy, and all of these
me.
players, they weren't good until a head coach got involved.
Okay,
I
but
don't
they
want.
had a
I
draft-
listen.
they had a
Hold
draft
on.
where
I'm not.
Cade Cunningham
Listen. I
was
want to be. Hold on. I want to be clear before I pass the ball, and I want to say this when I pass the ball. Shout out to the whole panel. Just because you got a high draft pick and talent don't make winning basketball. Implementing a coach that can make sure he can coach all of that talent is what makes winning basketball, i.e. KD, Kyrie with Steve Nash. So case in point is the rebuild starts with Jordy Fernandez, not next season's draft. And I can't guarantee a top 5 draft pick based on what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
We just went over this with the Popovich comparison. Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. When he didn't have a roster, they sucked ass. Talent wins games. Talent wins championships.
Well,
Coaches
hold on, Dylan. Breezy's right. You got to make that talent mesh, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't
need
have
BK,
like.
you don't know what a
Guys,
rebuild is.
guys,
So
guys,
Ben Simmons is not generational. Get out the
let
gutter
me
on
get a
this
hold of
one.
this, guys. Let me get a hold of this. BK is right in the sense that the talent has to mesh. But you can't win without talent. Dylan is right. Like, I don't care if the guys mesh perfectly. If you don't have the horses, you can't win the race. And the Nets don't have any horses besides Cam Thomas.
But Gary, Ben Simmons, Johnson, and Thomas. It's generational. Get out of here.
Coaching is what matters most. Look at Miami and their 2 finals appearances. Better coach, shittier talent. Refused. They couldn't win. They couldn't beat LeBron. They couldn't beat Denver. Right?
LBL, you want in? I know you want in. I'm gonna wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. So, but what's up, LBL? What's on your mind?
Now I was just watching and listening, and I would say those teams that everyone is saying, well, if this team were healthy, but let's make it an even playing field. If all of the teams are equally healthy, and the 25 draft is over, and they're no longer tanking, this roster still sucks. I don't care what you're thinking about.
For being the voice of reason, man.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, you look at who we have. This guy's talking about Ben Simmons, and it's like, gosh, man, you don't know how horrible he really is. He is horrible.
He's not horrible, LBL.
LBL, he doesn't know what a rebuild
The only
is.
reason
LBL.
he's playing is because he's making
Seven,
$40
six.
million. If he was making $4 million, he'd be cut.
I think
Facts.
LBL's got,
He got
BK,
you.
I've made this point before. Like,
Yeah.
I have a special needs son, and when he hits a free throw, everyone goes crazy, like it's the greatest thing in the world. Everyone claps their hand, yay! This is what you do with Ben Simmons. He does the most basic thing in the world, and you act like he's a special needs kid who just hit a free throw. Like you really do. It's like,
Wow.
I'm just going by his history, Gary. I'm just saying. This team
BK,
is
go
not
by what he's
garbage.
done today, not what he did 5 years ago. Please, for Pete's sake, man. Enough's enough. He's a con job. This guy collects more money than he has ever collected wins in his career. That's a
You say that
fact.
about a lot of players, Jonathan. A lot of players get hurt.
All the
He's not
people
only
you mentioned,
one.
Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, all these guys won titles. Michael Porter Jones, Ben Simmons, they made a finals appearance. His stock is nowhere near those guys' stock right now,
But that's
BK.
all team related, man. It's not winning titles is a team thing.
Gary,
No,
I heard
BK.
them talking
Let
about.
me just
I heard
ask
them
you
You
talking
would
a
all
about
be able
coaches,
just said
too.
if he was making $4 million, he would have been cut from this team months ago.
I
At the
heard
end of
them
the day,
talking
he's
about-
not going to help you win
But he's not
basketball
making
games.
$4 million. There's a reason why he's
They were-
that
they were
guy's
talking
man.
about-
I'm telling you.
But
Let-
you were
let me-
talking
let me
about
ask you a question
coaches
real
as
quick.
well, right? You were talking
Who's
about
more
coaches
meaningful?
as well, right? I think Dylan made a point when he talked about Popovich and just not having the horses, because even if we look at Detroit, there was some interior problems going on. But remember, Monty Williams is a 2-time Coach of the Year. He helped the Pelican. I mean, he helped the who was it? Phoenix win, right? And so I'm
Well,
saying
he made the
he can
finals,
coach.
but didn't win it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, yeah.
we know he could coach. We know
And
he
again,
can coach.
talent was the issue.
And that's what I'm saying. The talent matters. So you can be a great coach, but if you don't have the talent, you're not going to go anywhere. So if you want to say Jordy is the most important person, I disagree. I think he's important right now, but really what's important is getting a top level player. And I'm saying top level doesn't mean that he comes in as gangbusters, but he's just a top generational talent. And I'm sorry, BK, but Ben Simmons is not that.
Let me ask you a question real
BK
quick.
is gonna die on that Ben Simmons hill, and I do I think the superstar is more important than the coach. And if you want an example, Budenholz won a championship. Why? Because of Freak, right? Like Freak could have won a championship with any coach, and he proved that.
Yeah,
Budenholz is not a good coach.
that's what I was going to
Y'all
get to.
did y'all watch the game yesterday? Did y'all
Hold on,
see how
let me ask
valuable
this real quickly. Let me
Yeah, I
ask
seen the game.
who's
Did you
more
watch Shake
valuable?
Milton yesterday, Hoops?
Let me ask this question real quick. It's yes or no. Let me just get through the couple of examples that I have.
Fine.
Who's more impactful, Jokic or Mike Malone?
Jokic.
Who's more impactful,
Jokic.
LeBron James or Eric Spoelstra when he was in Miami? LeBron
That's
James.
close.
Yo, Dylan,
It's
you
still
don't understand,
It's still
Dylan.
James.
You don't understand. You have
Who's
to
more
have.
impactful,
I've been
LeBron
on
James
teams.
or Ty Lue in Cleveland?
I've been on teams where we had super talent, but we still lost because there was no roles established. The coach needs to
Nobody's
have roles
disagreeing with
established.
needing a good coach. You need a good coach, but you need the talent to be better than the coach. That's the point.
Leaf,
Just-
jump in there,
just-
my man. Leave your kid
Jokic was
in there.
better than Malone.
Just to let every
Yo,
last
Leaf,
one
what's
of
good,
y'all.
man?
What's going on, bro? Listen.
Relief, I thought he was in here.
I know I'm in here.
All right.
I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I'm in
He
here.
dropped
But,
a $10 super
Yeah,
chat.
no,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nah, but listen, I'm gonna say one last thing about that KD team, and then that's it, bro. Like, listen, James Harden basically dogged the Boston Celtics in the first round by himself. Everybody in here know that team fell apart because of injuries, bro. Injuries and a lot of other stuff and bad articles, bro. Scotty already had told us about it. Everybody in here, I pretty much know. So that's my whole thing on that. About this roster, I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to say it for the people in the cheap seats. There's no way that this roster as constructed is going to get anything done in the next couple of years to win 50 games, bro. And then listen, the next two drafts, if the Nets do not come out of the next two drafts and get somebody that can help and get somebody in the top 5 or the top 10 that can help. Listen, if Zaire Williams alone is not a clear-cut indication that we need a top 10 pick, because by the way, he was a top 10 pick in the same draft.
Yeah, number 10.
Yes,
yeah,
and
number 10.
And in 21 games, he made more of an impact than damn near 75 to 85 players that's been on this team in the last 2 years.
Facts.
Leaf, he's not good.
Daron
Leaf.
Sharp. Talk about Daron Sharp.
Can I finish my example though?
No,
Real
I'm
quickly, 'cause
talking.
almost done with it.
I'm talking about Zaire Woods. He's been better than
He's not that good. He's not,
Right,
he's
no,
not a
that's
good
what I
player.
said. You say it's
I got-
right.
He's been better than Clowney. He's been better than Claxton. He's been better
he's
than
not.
all of them.
Clowney
he
not
has.
fair. That's fair. That's not fair to say
That
Clowney.
is
Clowney.
fair.
You
That
think
is
so?
fair
Yo,
because
Leaf,
he-
yo,
I
Leaf,
do
you know
think
I
so
love you,
because
Leaf.
he
Guys,
did-
hang on. One
You know I
mic,
love you, but
one
you
mic.
Wait a second.
Go ahead, Lee.
He just got to the team. He was coming from Memphis where he was getting no clock at all. No
Because he's
clock at all.
garbage.
We didn't even know what he could do. No, it
He's
wasn't
trash.
because he was.
Let
It
him
wasn't
go. Let
because
him
he
go.
was garbage.
BK.
It wasn't because he was garbage. It's because they had a roster already. They had a roster. They had spots already, bro.
God.
Like they already had Desmond Bain filling that 3 spot. They already had Dylan Brooks.
Desmond's a
They
two.
already had whole bunch of wings and a whole bunch of fours filling that spot. When that roster got broken down, even last year they was playing G.G. Jackson over him. He came to
That's
the
a
Nets.
fact.
I want
That's a
to
fact.
the Nets. He came to the Nets and made an immediate impact and played winning basketball right away. Right away.
Yo, Leaf.
You
Leaf,
wanted
he's
Yo,
it.
playing
BK,
hard.
let me just address that, and I want to move to
You wanna
Dylan.
cut
Hang
to
on.
the
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
He got
Go
all
ahead,
of it.
Gary.
We were debating early in the season before Zaire got hurt who you'd rather close with, Zaire or Cam Johnson. And it was a real conversation. Like Zaire has been good this year. He has been
No,
on
what?
both
Yeah.
sides. He's been good. But Dylan, I know you wanted to make a point. Go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to finish the example. I said Jokic to Mike Malone. We all agreed it was Jokic. LeBron to Eric Spoelstra. The difference is LeBron won a championship with Spoelstra. Spoelstra has not won one since. LeBron is more impactful on winning. LeBron and Ty Lue. LeBron won a championship with Ty Lue. Ty Lue has not done dick since. Jason Tatum. He's played with Ime Udoka, Joe Mazzulla, and Brad Stevens. Guess what? All three have the same common denominator. Jason Tatum was on the team. Jason Tatum won a championship. Jason Tatum is more impactful than the coach. You need your superstar
Oh my
player
gosh.
to be more impactful than the coach. The coach needs to be good. Nobody's saying that the coach does not need to be good. The coach needs to be a top 10 coach in basketball for you to win, but you need a top 10 player in basketball to win a championship. That is a fact.
No, I'm not.
I think-
Again,
you gotta
Fair
manage.
point.
You gotta
Yeah, no, I'm
manage
not-
egos.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. But again, my thing is based on what I'm saying. Again, the hero and the villain is Cam Johnson. You know, if y'all want somebody to be mad at him because he don't care. He
I
gonna
thought the
play his
hero and the
hardest.
villain was Dennis Schroeder because the second that we got rid of him, we
It
got
was.
destroyed.
Yeah, that's
That's what I
until
thought
Shake.
the villain was.
That's until Shake Milton went home and looked in the mirror and said, "I could be all I can be." Shake Milton came out there
Well, we
playing with a
see-
purpose, man.
Breezy,
And also,
Breezy,
for
we
the people
see-
saying that this roster is solid, we just beat a team without Giannis and Dame. Teams are purposely playing down to us.
Exactly.
We're not beating
Exactly.
teams fully healthy. This roster is bottom 3 in basketball. There's no debate on that.
I wouldn't say bottom 3. I would
Cam
say more
Thomas-
like
I say
seven,
bottom.
eight.
I say bottom 5 at minimum.
Healthy roster, we talk.
It's not
Healthy roster, we talk.
Healthy roster, bro. We still bottom 5 in the league.
Healthy
Yeah.
roster,
It's
Cam
still
Thomas
that
is
And
not
are you
better than
saying-
You know
Lauri
why we still
Markkanen.
that way, bro? Stop telling me that Detroit is good when they still in the 500. Stop telling me that we good and we still in the. We ain't have a 500 record yet at our best basketball when Schroeder was
We-
here.
No, we
Stop
didn't play
telling
up
me
better.
that.
Yeah,
We started the
injury.
season 1-0.
Yo, Leaf, you're bugging out, man. Cam Thomas has been injured. Our best scorer has been out.
Okay, but the point is when you're looking at rosters,
when he
Cam
was
Thomas is not
healthy,
better than
what
Lauri
was our
Markkanen.
record?
Ben
Our
Simmons
record
is
really
better than
hasn't
Lonnie
changed.
Jordan.
And I think Leaf is
Yeah,
Leaf
yeah.
makes a good point.
What was
Like,
our record
when Cam
him
Thomas
and
was
Schroeder
healthy?
was leading the league in backcourt scoring? What was our record? It wasn't
Yo,
over
but hold on.
500.
Leaf. You're being emotional. Hold on. Ben Simmons wasn't playing like the way Ben is playing right now. He's been very good the last.
You gotta go ahead.
You
Ben
cut
Simmons is playing
corners,
so
bro.
well. He's averaging like
Stop,
6
BK.
points and 4
But-
rebounds.
All right, so Jordy Fernandez don't know what he's talking about, right?
You know,
Because
he's
Jordy
your best
Fernandez
point guard. That's my point, BK, is he's actually your best point guard. That's not a good thing.
He's not
That's
your
a bad
best
thing.
player. He's not your best player, but when he's attacking, like he's putting pressure on the defense, man. I mean, it opens things up for Cam Johnson, Noah
The
Clowney,
best player
Cam
that
Thomas.
we got on
That's
our
a
team
fact.
is the best player that we got on our team, on our roster, is Jordy Fernandez. All these
I
niggas,
agree.
bro, need to go.
Agree.
It's just that simple, bro. It ain't nothing. to
So
discuss
hold on, Gary. Let's discuss this. I want to ask you this, Gary.
Yeah.
Brooke Lopez, who was his coaches? And why we couldn't build around Brook
He had
Lopez? He was a
bunch of time.
top 10
He was
pick.
there for a long. Lawrence Frank was there for a long time. Kiki
He was a
Vandeweghe
good coach.
coach.
Lawrence Frank was pretty decent, right?
So
We had
Lawrence
Jason
Frank was a
Kidd,
great coach. So let me address that. Lawrence,
No. Hold on. I want to go to Gary. I want to ask Gary. Gary, talk to me about
Lawrence
that
Frank-
Brook Lopez rebuild. What happened? What went wrong with the Brook Lopez rebuild, in your opinion?
Lawrence Frank
We
was
traded
a
Derek
great
Rose for Derek.
basketball guy. He was a horrible people's person, right? So when he had to rebuild and he had to build a team, no one liked him because he was an asshole. Like Scalabrine talks about this. Great basketball mind, horrible people's person. That was the problem with Lawrence Frank.
And nobody
Right.
knew Lopez was going to be as good as he was at number 10.
At number 10. And again, my point is we built this team around Brook Lopez, which was the number 10 pick, and the success around it, which wasn't much, but just for the conversation of it,
But we
he was a
really
number
didn't-
10 pick.
We really
We-
didn't build it around him. We built it around Darren Williams.
I don't even know if we built it.
I
around
feel like
him.
Brook Lopez was the best player. I do, bro.
Nah,
I don't like
Brook
Derrick
Lopez-
Williams.
hold
Like
on,
that.
hold on.
But we're comparing
Williams' team.
mediocrity. We're comparing
Brook
mediocrity.
Lopez didn't pass out of double teams very well. That was really more or less the problem.
Built it around him. Be honest with you.
We're comparing mid though. Is this the expectation for Nets fans?
No, I'm saying
To be our best
no.
franchise player, which is Brook
No.
Lopez is our franchise leading scorer, and I don't
No.
even think he would be. I want to say he'd be a bottom 5 franchise scorer on any other organization. Like if you're looking at the top scorers of every organization, Brook Lopez has what 13,000 points with us. That's probably bottom 5 out of all 30 teams in the NBA. If you compare every team
Easily.
Because all of
Yeah,
our
but-
again,
But
why
no,
would I-
I'm not saying no. I'm saying
Raise the
all I have to
standard.
say there was no success around building around Brook Lopez. I don't think that we should get a top 10 pick to draft, and that's the example that I'm using. But at the end of the day, I don't think that with our draft pick and the Knicks and the Bucks pick that we're going to be bad in this draft. I just don't see it going bad. You know, I think we figure it out, and I put a large part of that
Think we figure it out.
to Jordy Fernandez because I think he's gonna have a lot to say about who we draft.
All right, guys, I gotta wrap this.
I'm gonna tell you
All
what.
right, Gary, hold on, man. 2 more hours, Gary.
No, I can't do 2 hours. I can't go one season. I gotta
Listen,
wrap
I'm
this.
not-
like,
I'm
yeah,
joking
Gary,
around, I'm
before,
joking
Gary,
around.
before you leave, bro, I'm gonna just say this, bro. Listen, 9 times out of 10, a top 10 pick, bro, is better than a late first round or a second round pick. 9 times out of 10. And the thing is,
Agreed. Yeah.
9 times out of 90,000 times out of 100. It's a few anomalies here and there, but the Nets ain't get lucky on shit yet.
Yep.
And they ain't gonna get lucky on the damn thing. If you still looking for that second round pick that's gonna turn out to be just as good as Jokic, keep looking because the shit ain't gonna happen.
No, I'll say the 3 first. I'm talking about the 3 first we got.
Well, we got
That's not going to
First
happen
one.
either.
I mean the 4 first, but yeah.
If those
I'm talking about the
three
first.
are not
Point
better
is
than the
there's two
players on your
blueprints
team
there's
now.
2 blueprints to Nets basketball. The first one is when we made it to the finals. What did we do? We drafted Kenyon Martin. We traded for Jason Kidd. That was the roster, right?
And don't
You
forget,
traded for, you traded for Vince Carter. You never made a finals again, even though
we
all
also
love
had
him.
2 top 10 players. We also
And then
had two
look,
top
and then
10
look what
draft
happened
picks.
again with our top 3 picks. We've given up 4 top 3 picks in the past 15 years. 3 of them are going to be Hall of Famers: Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. 2 of them have won championships. That right there is your statistic. It's
But
not.
Dylan, don't
It's
forget,
not about
we also
who hasn't made it to a finals out of the top 3 picks. It's not about that. Our
But-
top 3 picks have all hit so far.
But also,
Yo, are we gonna be back? Hold on. He did say he gotta go. We gotta respect the fact he said he gotta go. He said he gotta go. He said he gotta go. He said he gotta go.
Gary.
I'll come
also
back
on that
tomorrow.
roster, we had 2 more top 10 picks. We had Van Horn, who was picked at 2nd, and we had Kittles, who was picked at 8th.
Yeah, we gonna. I'm gonna try to. Hold on. We gonna try. I'm gonna try to start up a live soon, man. But he said he gotta go. Respect his hand. Respect his hand.
I do gotta close this out. I appreciate it. Leaf, Breezy, LB, Dylan. Who else I got up in here? Appreciate all you guys. I do gotta wrap this up. I went on longer than I expected. I appreciate you. I'll go live again tomorrow if you guys want to continue this. I do appreciate y'all.
All right,
have a good
Gary,
one, fellas.
be good, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, later.
From Texas to the world, thank you and God bless.